Thank you. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Nets postgame show with Frank Isola. I'm Nancy Newman. The Nets, they were looking to keep a good thing going and take care of business today, putting away the Charlotte Hornets. Brooklyn getting off to the fast start. They led by 29 at the break, and they finish it with a 102-86 easy win.
Yeah, that was a great first half. Let me repeat, that was a great first half by the Brooklyn Nets. The second half, hey, are you kidding me with that? That was a little rough. It didn't matter. You know, they were up 37. And the last 15-50 of the game, they scored only 18 points, and as close as Charlotte got was 14. So up 37 to up 14. I get it. Jacques Vaughn is not going to be thrilled with the second half, but you know what? They did build a 37-point lead. They did score 70 points in the first half. That first half is what he's going to want to focus on. That second half, not so pretty. But
a very nice nugget from our producer, Michael Medvin, and that is the fact that 32 points in the entire second half. They outscored themselves individually in each of the first and second quarters, 36 and 34, than they did in the entire second half.
Yeah. Now I need our producer to do math for me. I knew that they scored 16 in the third and the fourth quarter. You know who else knows it? Jacques Vaughn. I don't know what happened. Everything just stalled. And then the last 6 minutes of the game, and I am not going to complain about this, there were no timeouts called. It was just like the two teams just running up and down the court, letting the game play out. But say this for the Brooklyn Nets, and this is why getting that win the other night was so important. Now you have two in a row. You go down to Houston, not going to be easy to win on the road. I'm not saying that, but that's one of the worst teams in the league. Actually, in fact, it is the worst team in the league. You go down there and get a win, 3 in a row. Now you give yourself a little bit of a cushion because you got a tough game against Milwaukee, then a back-to-back against Minnesota. The schedule is going to get very difficult for the Brooklyn Nets. That win on Friday was absolutely huge, and they took care of business. That's what they did tonight. First half, great. Second half, not so much.
Hey, it's in the win column. And again, it's Mikal Bridges who led the way. Another strong night for him, including that perfect first quarter when he went 9 for 9, Frank.
He was terrific.
Great.
Coming off a 38-point game against the Boston Celtics. And we said they got to get off to a quick start. Obviously, Mikal Bridges was thinking the same thing. I love that backdoor cut along the baseline. Good pass by Spencer Dinwiddie. Again, Dinwiddie finding Mikal Bridges, the pull-up jumper that he hits right there. Like you said, 9 of his first 9 shots. Didn't take a shot in the second quarter. Did score 2 points from the free throw line. That's how he ended the first quarter, with that tough runner along the baseline.
And Mikal Bridges, 43 minutes the other night versus the Celtics to lead the way in terms of minutes on the floor. 38 points for him versus Boston, 33 points tonight. And here are his numbers as a net 9 games so far.
Yeah, and what I like about it, again, tonight he got up to the quick start. So he set the tone for the game. The Nets win this game. You go back to the Miami game, 45 points. Then he had the 38 the other night. So it seems like in their wins, you know, you asked me before, you know, is it his team? When you make it your team is when you win. You have to contribute in wins, and that's what he's doing. It seems like when he plays well, the Nets play well, and it certainly has happened in big wins against Miami, Boston, and now tonight against Charlotte, a game they had to have.
And the supporting cast definitely doing their part as well. We talked about it at halftime. Spencer Dinwiddie did his part, and Joe Harris, his minutes have dwindled some, but he's played pretty well.
Yeah, and I like what Spencer Dinwiddie has done. I think he's trying to find that balance of being the point guard, but also knowing when to look for his shot. If you're going to play with Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, they have to be the focal point of the offense. But this is just good ball movement by the Brooklyn Nets. Spencer Dinwiddie alone in the corner. He's going to get the ball back. Give it up, you'll get it back. And he's still very good at doing this, drawing contact. He wanted a foul there, didn't get it. Again, in isolation, drives to the basket, scores. This time he does draw the foul. As for Joe Harris, here's a guy they could still use that shooting off the bench. It seems like he's going to be a bench player at this point. It seems like Jacques Vaughn is stuck on that starting lineup. Joe Harris, if he wants minutes, this is what he needs to do. He's wide open. Just catch it and let it fly. That's what Joe Harris does best, and I thought he had a really good game tonight. Not even thinking twice about it. Catch it, shoot it, splash.
15 points in 14 minutes, 5 of 7 from 3. That's the Joe we know.
And you look at guys like Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, even Spencer Dinwiddie. They're very good at getting into the paint, driving, kicking it out to the shooter. Joe Harris spotted up and doing what he does best, knocking down shots. That's a good thing for the Nets. It's a good thing for Jacques Vaughn to see. Because remember, there have been games, Cam Thomas had it going. Then you had Seth Curry coming off the bench. Tonight it's Joe Harris. That's how it's going to work. No one's going to have set minutes off the bench. When you come in and you're productive on both ends of the court, and the minutes you play, you'll get to play. There have been a couple of games here where Seth Curry and Joe Harris didn't even play in the second half. They cut the rotation down to 7 guys, and Jacques Vaughn is going to do that. And that's on a night-by-night basis. The only guys that are really guaranteed minutes are the guys that are starting. The guys coming off off the bench. They have to earn their time, and if they want to stay on the court, they got to play well in that particular game.
And I wanted to talk about the switching, too. They're switching 1 through 5. We saw that the other night versus Boston. They've got each other's back.
Yeah, and that's what you have to do. You have to play good, sound team defense, and that also comes with practice. If you go back to Friday, they had a team shoot-around, which is always important. Now, you could also say, well, Frank, they did fall behind by 28 points in the game. I get that, but I thought in the second half, to your point, it just seemed like they got it together defensively. Tonight, they're just playing a team that's struggling. And Charlotte, yes, Charlotte made a bit of a run there in the second half, but they're also down 37. The Nets were never threatened. They held a double-digit lead in this game over the final 39 minutes. It was never in doubt, really.
You saved me from asking that question and yourself from having to answer it again.
I just did the math also. I didn't need Mike Medvin to do the math for me.
We love you, Medvin. Between tonight's win and Friday's comeback in Boston, there has been a lot to like for Brooklyn over the last couple of matchups. We've got more to come on the postgame. Stay with us.
The Yes app is your digital destination for streaming live Nets games. Catch the biggest plays.
The Nets are pouring it on.
From the biggest names.
Bridges connects.
Stream Nets basketball on the Yes app. Presented by T-Mobile.
We are back with the final stats from the Nets and Hornets, including our key to the game. The fact that Brooklyn built a lead that grew to as large as 37 points. Frank mentioned before the break that the Nets played most of the game comfortably in front. And coming off Friday's statement win over the Celtics, the Nets wanted to secure a win versus the Hornets today, defend their home floor before heading out on that 5-game road trip. They did just that, a second win in a row. Here's head coach Jacques Vaughn with Megan and the media.
You told me during pregame that it was going to be important to build off of what you guys were starting on Friday. What was important, and what did you see that stood out from tonight's action, especially there early in the first?
Yeah, just a character test for us. That's easily a game where you come off a big win versus Boston, and you come home. Are you going to relax? Are you going to be detailed into doing responsibility and taking care of our jobs tonight? And give our guys credit. We were locked in from the beginning. Our approach was great. Our attention to detail was great, and we definitely got rewarded for by playing pretty well.
And playing pretty well. Mikal Bridges, there in the first quarter, he was 19 points, perfect 9 of 9 from the field. What did you see from him, the aggression level that allowed him to kind of get going?
Yeah, it really starts with Spencer and Mikal and their ability to get us going and to be focused. And I thought Spencer found Mikal early, and Mikal was extremely aggressive for us, kind of set the tone for the team, that we were prepared and ready to play. So give him a lot of credit for setting the tone for us.
And you told me also that taking care of every single possession in that first half, only 1 turnover. When your team's able to do that as a coach, I know that's a category that you're always looking at. What did you like about their ability to, take care of every possession?
Yeah, overall, 5 turnovers on the entire night, and a couple of those were shot clock violations. We got an offensive foul, and we tried to throw a lob on one of them. So overall, our attention to taking care of the basketball, to really realizing that we do need every single possession. We can maximize it, and that's only to our benefit. So it just really tells me the less turnovers you have, you think guys are getting more on the same page, they're trying to understand each other, and we understand the importance of every single possession, which is going to boil down to that for our team.
Jacques, kind of similar to my pregame question. I mean, you guys had a pretty big lead in the fourth. Was there any thought of kind of pulling the starters, with a few minutes left?
Alex, you want to go home with a win. I feel much better right now if we're going home with a win, even though Mikal played 40 minutes. And so we'll deal with it. But at the same time, like I talked about earlier, it's just getting these guys prepared to play big minutes. We're going to need them to play big minutes on the road, at home, all of the above, and guys are going to need to be ready.
And then just, Joe's minutes have kind of been fluctuating a little bit lately on the low end, then he comes out, goes 5 for 7 for 3. Just what do you see from him tonight?
Just a true professional, true teammate, always ready, and is going to give you every ounce that he has. And so tonight, he was really making shots and played a significant role into us winning tonight.
Jacques, you said a few days ago that with Mikal, you don't necessarily want the the mid-range is to completely dominate his shot selection. But when they're falling in that first quarter, does that maybe make you a little bit more likely to let him keep taking those and kind of just let him use his instincts there?
Yeah, we'll keep looking at the percentages. What we do want is him to continue to get to the rim and shoot threes for us. He has shown a knack, though, of getting to his spots. We saw it in Boston, especially, you know, the full pace ones where we have pace and the defense is retreating, he's getting to his spots. So I'm learning more about him, what shots he likes to get to. And if they're going in, we love them. But we do want to have a profile of really getting to the rim and shooting threes and putting pressure on the defense that way also.
Just Cam Johnson obviously took that shot from Mark Williams, but stayed in. I mean, was there any? Was just a bloody nose with him going back to the locker room?
Blood, get it wiped up, Alex, and get back in there. Love it. Love it.
For Spencer in these last couple of games, for him to be able to, seems like to be all over when it's needed on the court, like whether it's getting a rebound, but also creating. What have you seen from him, and has his game developed with this new group as they form this chemistry?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really smiling inside, Megan, to see, you know, I probably had Spencer when he was young in his 20s, and now he's getting closer to, or he's around 30, and just to see his maturation as a player. And to see him be able to manage the game and get us in the right spots and be able to get to the rim and know what's needed for our team, to be able to, on the defensive end, when we need to switch, and he provides the switch. And when he guides us on the defensive end of the floor as well. Like you said, coming back to rebound at his size is great for us, really pushing the group and the IQ level of getting to the right spots. He's been, you know, really the one pushing that for our group. And I think our IQ as a team has improved because of Spencer. And so give him a lot of credit for leading us and really showing up every night. Thanks, Jimmy. Have a good night, guys.
Frank, Dinwiddie and Bridges, they combined for 57 points, but as coach added, they found their defense too.
Yeah, and that's what's so important, especially for Mikal Bridges. He needs to be that two-way player. I like, you know, Alex Schiffer of The Athletic. Now he's going to be the minutes police and wonder about that. You know, the Nets were struggling. You're going to keep these guys out there, especially when, you know, we're talking all the time that they don't practice that much. So if you're not practicing a lot, you're kind of using the game. Everybody talks about chemistry and the terminology. Well, there's your chance to do it during the game. A couple of things, though, about defense, which you mentioned. First time since November 27th. That was the 21st game of the season they held an opponent under 100 points. That's a long time, November 27th. And only the third time this year where the opponent has scored 86 or fewer points. So they got it done defensively, that's for sure.
Time for another break on the postgame show. Stay with us. We've got out-of-town highlights coming up, along with more reaction from Barclays Center. Spencer Dinwiddie on the way as the Nets defeat the Hornets in their last home game for a week and a half. We welcome you back to the Nets postgame show and dive right into the game summary brought to you by Infiniti. Spurred on by his flawless first quarter, Mikal Bridges showed the way for Brooklyn with 33 points. This victory combines with Friday's win over the Celtics to give the Nets their first back-to-back victories since late February. And since late January, February, actually. So they also finished off a season sweep of the Hornets. Spencer Dinwiddie, a nice game, too. Here he is on the victory with Megan and the media.
For this group, what do you just attribute mentality-wise that allowed you guys to play with the aggression that you guys played with from the start of the game?
I mean, I think JV gives our principles, sets the tone, and then we just kind of know our identity. We got to be a defensive-minded group. Clax as our anchor is phenomenal in switching defenses and being able to kind of guard out in the perimeter, which means we got to come back and gang rebound, and you know, just off to the races.
Jock just told me that you probably have one of the highest basketball IQs on the team, and you kind of lead that charge. When you're out there on the court, your ability to grab a rebound, get to the rim, and also create. How have you seen your game just kind of develop with this new group as you kind of form the chemistry?
It's funny because like every year I have kind of a different role to a degree. This team obviously has been thrown together kind of last second, but it's a bunch of good guys, a bunch of high basketball IQ guys, and then we have a lot of guys that can really shoot the ball. So knowing that and understanding that, it means that, you know, it's on me to call the right plays at the right time. Obviously, mostly JV's calling, but also when I see some call them, get shooter shots. Just try to break the paint. You know what I mean? I think that's what I do that's a little bit more unique than other guys on the roster. break the paint, cause havoc. And as you've seen the last couple of games, they've been blitzing my pick and rolls because of that. So that's then trusted Nick to play in the pocket. And, you know, tonight, obviously, we only scored 102, but Nick did a great job of spraying out and playing with his basketball IQ and getting guys good looks. Doe, Seth, you know, Joe even. And that's how, you know, we were kind of able to put them in a bind.
Spencer, the eye test kind of shows the past few games, especially, you know, all the newcomers are on the same page and developing a chemistry. Just what are your indicators, whether it's the box score or something else that you use to kind of see where you guys are at as a unit when it comes to gelling like that?
I mean, obviously, you always want to learn from wins rather than losses. I think the vibes are good. I think everybody is kind of starting to settle in. You're seeing a lot of smiles out there, which is good. And we're kind of knowing, hey, okay, you know, Kale's going to score, Spencer's going to get in the lane, and then playing advantage basketball, right? So, you know, if we get an elephant, get into our spacing quickly, recognizing where we need to be so we don't get bunched up on the side or something like that, stopping the drives, guys understanding that, you know, the ball is going to swing around the horn once the paint is broken. And then, like I said, just having a commitment to defense.
What are you going to take away from these last two games when you play Houston tomorrow?
I mean, the first game, Celtics more so was just you can't get down 30, especially not to a good team. I mean, as great as it was to win that, we'd be fools to think that that's like a repeatable process, right? There's a reason why we're the only team to come back from 28 this season, right? But the carryover then to Charlotte, and really kind of stifling them on defense, holding them to 86 points, that was more so what we should be proud of than the kind of historic comeback, right? That kind of establishes identity, and basically if we continue to carry over, we hold a team under 100 points or to 100 points, we have a chance to win every single night, and that's any team. We've held, you know, Philly, for example, to, 98 or something like that. So, you know, we have a chance to do it against the best teams in basketball, but that's our identity.
You know, he makes a very important point there. Coming back from 28 down, that's one thing, but this is a different way to win. They did not let Charlotte take over.
No, and I think there was a bit of a letdown there. That's enough of a cushion, which obviously was the reason that they were going to be okay. But I think it's also a good lesson because the other night they realized keep competing and good things could happen. Tonight they stopped for a minute. Then next thing you know, they were being outscored 24-2. You know, Spencer Dinwiddie, you look at the line that he had tonight, and he's not going to be able to do this every night. It's the perfect line. 24 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 turnover. He is capable of playing that kind of floor game. And for a guard to rebound like that, that is so important. But also the 8 assists and the 1 turnover for him, and he's going to get his shots. That's the one thing. I think there were a couple of moments since he arrived back in Brooklyn where he seemed a little frustrated, maybe not getting involved as much, but he's got the ball in his hands. He's always going to be able to score that many points. He's always going to get open shots. I like the fact that he got other guys involved tonight, and it showed with the 8 assists that he had.
The Nets will try to keep their momentum going on a 5-game road trip that begins on Tuesday night, but we still got more to come as we continue to recap tonight's victory over the Hornets. Stay with us on the post-game show.
Take me inside that clubhouse. What's the feeling in there knowing you guys made some big moves this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, sigh of relief and excitement with Aaron for sure and Anthony. Those are 2 really big pieces of our puzzle last year. And with the addition of Rodon, he's you know, dynamic. He's electric. Anytime you can add extra pitching depth, you know, it's always going to be a good move for you if guys stay healthy. So, yeah, we like our chances, and, you know, that's part of what playing for the Yankees is, why playing for the Yankees is so great, is because, you know, you're going to get great players and get a shot to win the World Series every year.
Ah, yes, that, of course, the Yankees ace, Garrett Cole, looking ahead to the upcoming season of Yankees baseball during a talk with Meredith Barakovitz on our spring training action yesterday. We'll have more for you tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. on Yes and the Yes app, when the Yankees go up against the Pirates at George M. Steinbrenner Field. Well, back to all the hoopla, and we've talked about how tonight was the Nets' last home game for a week and a half. They will start that 5-game road trip. That's Tuesday at the Rockets. Following an off day, Wednesday, they'll have a set of back-to-backs Thursday and Friday in Milwaukee and Minnesota. Brooklyn will then pay a visit to Denver and MVP favorite Nikola Jokic next Sunday. The trip ends Tuesday, March 14th against the Thunder. So the summary there is you get that win on Tuesday against the Rockets. Rockets.
Yeah, absolutely. So on this trip, you're going to be going up against Milwaukee right now, the best team in the Eastern Conference. Denver, the best team in the Western Conference with Nikola Jokic, two-time MVP, which will not be easy. Then to finish off the trip, you get Oklahoma City. Then when you come home, and teams talk about it all the time, after you go off a long road trip, you come home. It's, oh, you're a little flat that first game. And who do they play? Sacramento, the surprise team in the NBA. So the schedule right now is tough. But you think about this. Right now, they're 3 ahead, or I should say Miami is 3 back in the loss column in 7th place, which is important. And if the Knicks were to lose tonight to Boston, it's a tight game right now, the Knicks would have just as many losses as the Brooklyn Nets. So the standings, it's so important this stretch because the schedule for the Brooklyn Nets will ease up a little bit down the stretch. Right now, they're in the heart of it. It's going to be tough. But to your point, the game against Houston, that's one they have to have.
Right, and so many games in this month and only 18 left to play. Like you said, very condensed schedule.
Right.
Break time here on the post-game show. Still plenty more ahead. When we come back, we'll take you through a tour around the NBA. KD and Kyrie squaring off, and it sure got heated. We welcome you back on the post-game show. As promised, it's time for out-of-town highlights, and we start with a big game in Dallas featuring a couple of familiar faces. Kevin Durant and the Suns facing Kyrie Irving and the Mavericks. Which way did it go? Durant playing his 3rd game with Phoenix since recovering from his knee injury. Here we go. There's KD. And there's Kyrie in their new colors. 3rd quarter, Kyrie driving to the net. What an amazing layup. That's just what he does.
One of the best at the point guard position in terms of finishing at the rim. Just incredible.
Unbelievable. This is the 4th quarter, and Luka banking one in off glass plus the foul. He went on to make the free throw, tying it at 118. Time winding down, 126. All KD pulling up. Nothing but net.
Kevin Durant, the king in the mid-range, and that's you're going to see a lot of that in playoffs. And here's Luka with a chance to tie it in and out. Kevin Durant gets the rebound. Luka fouls him, and then Devin Booker starts mocking Luka Doncic. And then watch Luka. He didn't like it. Got right in Devin Booker's face.
No ejections. The two were separated. It sure was interesting to watch. The Suns do take it. The final count was 130 to 126. KD finished with 37 points and 7 rebounds. Warriors, Lakers, 4th quarter, right to it. Seth Curry back after missing several games. First action since Feb 4. Warriors down 9. Seth Curry right there, making it good. Steph Curry. Next, Curry again.
Steph Curry, despite missing all that time, so good. But how about this? Dennis Schroeder with a terrific pass inside to Anthony Davis, who needs to play well in order for the Lakers to win without LeBron.
They led 103-95. Warriors answer. DiVincenzo, the feed over to Klay Thompson. Warriors down 2. But the Lakers, they had enough. They pulled away.
Anthony Davis with a monster performance tonight. 39 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists for Anthony Davis.
As the Lakers snap the Warriors' 5-game win streak. Knicks, Celtics, 1st quarter off the steal. Grant Williams, Jason Tatum alley-ooping it up. Celtics down 1. 16 first quarter points for Tatum. Time winding down now. Randall, a little step-back action, nailing the 3. 10 points in the 1st quarter for him. Game tied at 31. On we go, 2nd quarter.
And here's Jaylen Brown. Remember the other night, the Celtics, how is that not a travel? By the way, the Knicks are playing without Jalen Brunson. He's out tonight. Boston taking advantage, even though quickly with the outlet pass. And there you go. Josh Hart over to Obi Toppin. That should be a technical foul for hanging on the rim. They call that sometimes, not all the time. That's a technical foul.
Game was tied at 45. They are at the break. Elsewhere around the NBA, it's a final in Chicago. Bulls pull that one out over the Pacers. Orlando and Portland, that final as well. They're playing still in Houston, the Nets' next destination. They've got a 20-point edge on the struggling Spurs, a couple of struggling teams there. 3rd quarter in OKC, at the break at Washington, and the late date is Memphis at the Clippers.
Yeah, and the Clippers have yet to win with Russell Westbrook on the team. Meanwhile, Memphis, they don't have Dylan Brooks, 16 technical fouls, so he's out. And obviously, John Morant's going to miss at least the next 2 games. So Memphis a little shorthanded tonight.
Time for another break on the post game. Stay with us. Up next, we'll turn the focus back to the Nets, who head into their 5-game road trip off a win over Charlotte, in which they led by as many as 37 points. We are back. Full game highlights. Pick it up early 1st quarter. Mikal Bridges getting off to the terrific start. The step-back 3. He was perfect in the opening frame.
Mikal Bridges 9 for 9 in that 1st quarter. Here's Spencer Dinwiddie, who also had a big night, hitting the long pull-up 3.
Nets lead by 6, just seconds left in the first. Bridges dribbles down from mid-range, sinking it in dramatic fashion. Nets lead 36-21 after the first quarter. Second quarter, Royce O'Neal. The feed is to Joe Harris.
There's Cam Johnson everybody making that extra pass almost around the wheel, and there's Joe Harris from the corner, knocking it down.
And a 25-point lead. Midway through the second, Dinwiddie to the hoop. The reverse for 2. 58-32, Nets up top in a big way. On to the third, more Spencer. Bridges, step back. Largest lead of the night, 79-47.
Yeah, 37-point lead for the Brooklyn Nets, and then everything basically went south, even though Nick Claxton a good drive there. But Charlotte made their run, did get as close as 14, including this play by Terry Rozier. That is a tough shot by Rozier. Knocks it down, makes it, cuts the lead right there to 24.
Yeah, it was a 15-2 run for Charlotte, but as they chipped away, cutting it to 15, as Frank said, points 86-7-1 rather, the score at the time. Now 10 minutes left. Cam Johnson finding Harris in the corner, and he connects.
Yeah, once the Nets, they finally found their footing. Charlotte had their little run. It never, like I said, got closer than 14. There's Spencer Dinwiddie driving to the basket. Excellent job by him, drawing the foul, completing the three-point play.
Like we said, Bridges and Dinwiddie combining for 57 points. They go on to win it 102-86. And here is the Eastern Conference standings. And we're probably going to talk about it each night, the fact that it is so important to hang on to that 6th seed and avoid any kind of play-in activity.
And remember now, the Heat and the Hawks, they play each other, so that's going to help the Brooklyn Nets. I think if you're the Brooklyn Nets, you want the Atlanta Hawks to win that game. But again, terrific night in terms of a first half for the Brooklyn Nets. They had 70 points. So if you add the 60 they scored in the other night, and I guess we're doing math today, that was 130 points over a 48-minute span. So really good job by them. I think Jacque Vaughn will have a lot to talk about at practice tomorrow about the way that they played in the second half. He's not going to like that, but he certainly likes a lot of things that he's seen over the past couple of games. It seems like the Nets have gotten out of a bit of a funk. Their confidence is back, and the guys that they need to play well are playing well. Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson took a shot on the nose. We'll see what happens there. Who knows? Maybe he may have broken his nose because the thing would not stop bleeding, but also Spencer Dinwiddie really making a big contribution.
Yeah, that's a storyline to watch for sure. And he did go deeper in his bench, did Jacque Vaughn again today. So that's another opportunity that we'll see likely versus the Hornets as well.
And remember, so Cam Thomas did not play the second half. So again, the way Jacque Vaughn looks at it, he's looking at Seth Curry, Joe Harris, Cam Thomas. Who's ever bringing it on both ends of the court in the first half is playing in the second half, because there were games where Cam Thomas played the second half and Seth Curry and Joe Harris sat. So I like the way Jacque Vaughn is doing it. He's making guys earn their playing time. And again, some of the reporters asked him about extending the minutes of the starters, but it's, you know, if everyone's going to talk about chemistry and they're going to talk about, you know, guys getting used to playing with one another at a time where there's not a lot of practice, let them play extended minutes. You know, they're young enough. They could do it. Don't worry. They'll be okay.
Riding a couple of great wins, the Nets will try to make it 3 in a row on Tuesday night when they visit the Rockets in the opener of their upcoming road trip. Coverage begins at 7:30 on Yes and the Yes app with the FanDuel pregame tip-off set for a little after 8 o'clock. That does it for the postgame show. Once again, our final score from Barclays Center. Nets a winner, 102 to the Hornets 86. A huge first quarter from Mikal Bridges, setting the tone for a one-sided win. Now for Frank Isola and our entire Yes Network awesome team, I'm Nancy Newman. Thanks for joining us, and don't forget about Yankee spring training coverage. That's tomorrow at 6:30. We will see you again for basketball on Tuesday night. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening.